Rochester.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia on the sports leader 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan. Rochester.
And with that, we welcome you on into the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia, glad you're with us to kick off your sports weekend here on the sports leader 95.7 FM, AM 950, The Fan Rochester, and the free to download Odyssey app on your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan. Now we've even got our video stream up. Well, it's up, but it's, Gene in studio. We've got Tim standing by in the studio, keeping us all afloat this afternoon. I'm still broadcasting with the Rona from the tank. I am Mike Danger. That over there, that is Gene Battaglia.
Yeah, I don't think we want a camera on you today. No offense, dude. Are you any better today? Or
given the conditions, the last 2 days, I think I look okay. Might not sound as good as I would like, but yeah, I'm hanging in there, buddy. Thanks for asking. Let's hope that usually what do they say, 5 days, right? Oh, it takes like 5 days.
Nope, I'm just telling Tim to kill the music there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Tim, we're the show's on. Tim, I appreciate Tim coming in today. I'm motioning him to doing the thing, like doing the hand gesture, like down, 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 like, and then all of a sudden my mic went off. So we're off and running today. How are you, bud?
Good. WMCC Radio here on the Fan Rochester. I'm doing well, Gino. Ready for the weekend. Busy weekend ahead. Lots of action tonight. And championship week gets underway tonight. We got a couple of great college football games. We've got a Sabres game to react to from last night. The Amherst are in action, of course, this weekend as well. We're going to get you set up with Paul Hamilton, who's joining us later on this summer. Well, first, let's just tell you what's on tap here in the sports bar, and it's brought to you by Three Heads Brewing. Loopy Oatmeal Red Ale. It's back. Enjoy the beautiful hoppy red ale with a hint of toasted oats. Get yours at Three Heads Brewing on Atlantic Avenue today. And by the way, next Friday, a week from today, we will be live from Three Heads. Friday Football Talk Live, our final Friday Football Talk Live of the season, as we'll be preparing for the Chiefs and broadcasting live from 3 until 6 at Three Heads Brewing on Atlantic Avenue in the neighborhood of the Arts. We'd love to see you come out. Make a little note there in your calendar to join us. I think they'll also have the Sprucifer ready to go by then, too.
Yeah.
That's my holiday favorite, the good old Sprucifer.
Yeah, we love the Sprucifer there. That's going to be a lot of fun, having everybody kind of RSVPing here. Apparently we have a button that's stuck here, Danger. There we go. Finally.
Paul Hamilton of WGR, Odyssey Sports' sister station, was on hand last night in St. Louis. The Sabres fall to the Blues on a night where they just couldn't get the puck in the net, man. I mean, there was many moments in that game where the Sabres are just taking it to St. Louis. We'll get Paul's take on everything from last night in the Midwest. He joins us right around 4:25 this afternoon.
Yeah, certainly the Sabres, and I watched this game, Danger. They look good at times. They came back, digging out of a 3-0 hole. And then, goal number 5 by St. Louis, UPL way out of range. Certainly some of those goals not his fault, but, how big a step back? Look, it's one game, so how do you bounce right back? If I'm Don Granato, I go right back to UPL coming up tomorrow night in Carolina here, because you can't have UPL taking a step back. Just when you thought everything was going to be okay with his goaltender, that was a rather lackluster effort last night, but you can say there were other things that contributed to that Sabre loss last night, but you're not going to win any games when you're giving up that many goals there.
You can join us on the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line. That's 866-4FAN, 866-4326. We will take your calls all afternoon long. Lines are open, and we'll also have some takes on tap with I'll Drink That coming up here later this hour. We'll get to some other news and notes from around the NFL. The Week 13 got underway last night in Dallas, and the Cowboys. Boy, when was the last time as a Bills fan you felt like your team could get the win with a defensive stop when the game was resting in the balance? Because that's what the Cowboys had to do last night against the Seahawks. I mean, there were moments in that game where, Cowboys are going to lose this game. In Seattle, and a lot of it they did to themselves, a lot of penalties, but the Cowboys defense stepping up when they needed to there at the end and getting the win to move to 9-3. So Dallas getting the win to kick off Week 13, and we'll, of course, talk plenty of Week 13 NFL action throughout the course of the afternoon.
Yeah, that game had a little bit of everything last night. You get the big play from DK Metcalf. You get the sign language from DK Metcalf. You get You get Grumpy Al last night talking about Blake Kleitman, where I think most of America would be, on the side of Al on that. Talking about Blake Kleitman wanting to be the star of the show.
I love that you're calling him Blake Kleitman when his name is Cleet Blakeman.
Oh, whatever his name is. Yeah.
That's his name would be better if it was Blake Kleitman. That would be a good name for an NFL official. Cleet Bateman, and everybody has one of these guys, right? Tell me that you have. I know Angel Hernandez is everybody's favorite, umpire to knock in Major League Baseball. But in the NFL, there's always one that when you hear that they're calling your game, you're like, oh no. And for me, it's always Blake. It's Cleet Blakeman, always. Whenever Cleet Blakeman is on a game, I'm like, oh no, not this guy.
No, can we just call him Blake Kleitman? I like my version better there.
Blake Kleitman is the worst. We'll just put that out there. And that stems back that goes back over 10 years for me. I've just never, ever, ever. Blake Kleitman is the worst of the NFL officials. I know that there are some that are probably actually worse at their jobs, but that's the one that's most triggering to me. I know everybody has one.
Unpopular opinion here, Danger. Maybe it's a popular opinion. I don't know. Let the authorities do their job. We still we are a long way from getting, everybody wants closure. Everybody wants to know what the next thing is going to be. And since we were last on the air, you and I, Danger, we did have Von Miller turning himself into authorities. We do have the alleged victim in a text to WFAA television in Dallas saying no one assaulted anyone. This insane and sad. So at this point, I would just say, let the authorities do their jobs, and we'll figure everything out here because it's a very serious situation.
Yeah, it is serious, and she said it. It's sad. Last night, or at some point yesterday, we should say, well, while we were on the air, perhaps, or maybe last night,
just afterward, yeah.
Yep. Von Miller went into the DeSoto Regional Jail, turned himself in, posted $5,000 bond. And he was released. And then you have the alleged victim, Miller's longtime girlfriend, apparently, who recanted all of her contentions, everything that was wrong from earlier in the week. She kind of pulled back on it. An affidavit that we talked about yesterday on the show had all the alleged events and really kind of documented everything that went on in the dispute. And now here we are 2 days later with his girlfriend claiming that nothing actually happened. So whether or not this all goes away remains to be seen. It's not obviously the first time that Miller has had some sort of an investigation around him, swirling around him. Back in 2021 when he was still with the Broncos, there was an investigation, no charges filed. So it might be similar to this situation, might be similar to that situation. And if I'm not mistaken, I want to say that they both involved the same girl. I think it was his girlfriend then at the time as well who went through this. So look, I don't want to diminish the seriousness of the allegations, but at the same time, there's a pattern that's emerging here, and this is the second time now where you've got potentially
there's a pattern that's emerging, Danger, where sometimes, and again, we don't know the situation here, but domestic violence victims often blame themselves. So this is not untypical. This is something that's sure that after the fact now, but if there is a pattern, again, I would just say where I'm not casting judgment one way or another. Let the authorities do their job here in that regard. But I would just ask the question, okay, then why were the authorities called in the first place? Why did you decide to start recording? What is on that recording? And I don't, trust me, I went back and forth. Do I want to play the 911 recording? I'm not. I don't plan it, but it's out there if you want to listen to the 911 call. But there's all these things that we call fact. And let them figure out, the facts and whether the charges should be pressed. But to me, just because there's a text that says to a television station, I'll let somebody much smarter than me determine whether or not that's going to change the course here of the story.
Yeah, well, look, the pattern is a disturbing one, and you just hope that everybody involved gets through it okay. And it's just a horrible story, top to bottom. Excuse me, 1 second here, Jim.
Yeah, go ahead, buddy. Danger, by the way, if you haven't figured it out, he is doing this from his home today. He has just hit the mute button. Are you unmuted?
It's been a week, boy, and it's been a week. What a bye week for the Buffalo Bills when you have to deal with all of this coming off of that horrible loss in Philadelphia, and all you have waiting for you on the other side. Oh, we've got to make a trip to go to Kansas City and take on the Chiefs, which we'll be spending a lot of time, of course, talking about next week here in the sports bar.
It was a quaint week, Danger, where or quaint time where I just rather enjoy talking about 20 seconds, that sort of thing, or who's at fault on the pass in overtime. Like that's what the sport. I enjoy much more talking about that stuff than trying to, determine legalities that are way over our head here.
Yeah, for sure. So I agree with what you're saying in terms of letting it all play out. And there's a chance that this gets swept under the rug. There's also a chance that this gets blown up, and it's nothing but bad news for Von Miller and the Buffalo Bills. And hopefully, the system plays itself out and we have some sort of resolution here.
Well,
satisfying resolution for everybody.
Can I just go through the scenario here where we don't get resolution to anybody's likely there's not going to be closure and everyone's happy. No, any way you slice it, it's not going to be like that. So I'm going to present to you a scenario where we get to minicamp, and we're still at where we are right now, Danger, or maybe everything has been dismissed. Like under those two scenarios, and Von Miller is still on this roster, and the cap figure that Von Miller has. And if you just let him go, you're looking at a $32 million dead cap figure if there isn't any relief. This is a team right now that is projected to be $29 million over the cap. We haven't even gotten into that. I didn't want to go.
That's some year two Sean McDermott era dead cap money we're talking about. That's gross.
This is problematic. This is all right. Well, there are some easy cuts here, and by easy I mean. Not that you want to let players go, but Tre'Davious White, okay, you could save money there. Naeem Hines. There are other areas where players that are not contributing now you could move on from. But it would have been tough just before we even got to the Von Miller conversation. I'm just talking to this from a fan standpoint. This is the team you love. And we really haven't had this story. We've had it with Matt Ariza, and thankfully that everything kind of played out there, and Mr. Ariza can go back to trying to reclaim his life there. But the idea, Danger, and I guess we had it kind of going through LaShawn McCoy, but the fact that you're
off season,
the fact that your favorite team is going to have an individual that's connected to something like this, does that change your thoughts as a fan?
Well, you kind of. This happened, but when he was in Denver, so something similar. No charges were filed, so again, we don't know exactly what happened, but this kind of is playing out very similarly to the way it did in Denver. And you knew what you were signing up for. And I'm not going to label Von Miller a domestic abuser, but this is now, a pattern, a disturbing pattern that you've seen now twice happen where there are these allegations and there are these investigations, and in that case there were no charges. In this case, he had to go in and postpone. So I know that there's a lot of people that will come out with pitchforks, but I think again we have to kind of just let the whole process play out, which isn't as sexy as casting and throwing stones.
Yeah, well, we'd be having this conversation to some level, right? If this didn't happen, and just looking at the lack of production from Von Miller, there hadn't been any production. Name me one play this year that Von Miller has made. That is a giant leap of faith to think that a 34-year-old is all of a sudden going to come back to where he was before, because in this league, I know that guys are given second chances unless you're not going to be able to produce anything. So my question is, if this didn't happen, will we be actually having Von should be on this team regardless kind of conversation? And I think that's kind of fair here, because this season has not gone at all well for Von Miller, and I'm wondering if Von calling the shots or having too much input on his return date actually might have had something to do with it here.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I am out. I mean, like I'm of the belief that you're not going to see anything near what we saw just last year out of Von Miller moving forward, including with another offseason in front of him. I don't think that he all of a sudden, we all get older and we all get slower, and the more wear and tear and the more surgeries you put your body through. I don't care. I know he's a physical specimen, and I know he works out harder than anybody, but I'm not going to hold my breath and hope that we even get a sample of what we got last year out of Von Miller. So ultimately, this looks like a real poor return on investment for the Buffalo Bills. You were able to use him when you did last year and get some production out of him, but you're not getting nowhere near that. I don't think you're going to get anything near that moving forward. And I wonder, also, Gino, if, you can't compare this scenario to the Matt Araiza scenario because you're talking about a punter versus a team captain and a guy that makes millions and millions.
You're talking about criminal versus civil. You're talking about, there's a lot of different things. I get
Right.
Yep.
But there's, I'm wondering where like if Kingsley Jonathan had the same kind of allegations levied against him, would the Bills hesitate to move on from him? And I only bring that up because there's somebody on the roster right now that really started off his NFL career off on the wrong foot, and there wasn't a lot invested in him, but the Bills stuck with him, and that's Tyrel Dodson.
Yeah, Tyrel Dodson not drafted, and this was back on May 31st, 2019. He was arrested for domestic violence. He was 20 years old at that time, and this happened with his girlfriend in Arizona. 3 misdemeanor charges: disorderly conduct, assault, domestic violence, and damage to property of less than $2,000. And the police report is out there. And Tyrel Dodson, for the most part, year number 1 with the Buffalo Bills, very low profile, but the Bills obviously saw something. And because he was just this fringy practice squad sort of player on the team, where you're going with this, if I can kind of guess, Danger, is, hey, the idea that Sean McDermott wants a certain type of player, those days are over. Or that myth that maybe it was never true to begin with. The Bills want players who are going to try to help them win games. And sure, character is one factor in it. But ultimately, they're willing to look past some things here, obviously.
Yeah, and for as much of a squeaky clean image as I think Sean McDermott wants his locker room to have, no NFL locker room is going to have a locker room full of Boy Scouts. I mean, there are going to be problems and there are going to be bad apples in every locker room. We've discussed it plenty. But, the Bills now have a couple of guys on their roster that you could look at and be like,
well, I know. Listen, Danger, I'm going to just read the police report for Tyrel Dodson. Go
ahead.
The woman told the officers that Dodson was intoxicated at her apartment when he shoved her against a wall and slapped her in the face. The woman also told police that she had been slapped by Dodson in the face as well, that Dodson told her to leave the apartment and locked herself in a bathroom before Dodson forced the door open, hitting her in the head with the door. Yeah, that's Just keep these stories in mind. And look, there's stories on every NFL team, right? Like, I'm not trying to absolve the Buffalo Bills here, but I think it's important, Danger, that you pointed out that Dodson also is a Buffalo Bill that has a similar story here.
Sure. And they've stuck with him. In fact, they've probably stuck with him more than most teams would stick with a guy that was undrafted that really, didn't command any sort of massive investment the way Von Miller has up to this point in Buffalo. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. We're going to take a break here, come back. Gino, I'm curious. I want to get your take on not just tonight's action in college football, this weekend's action, championship week. We also got week 13 in the NFL to look at. And maybe there's some key matchups here that we can keep an eye on. And there's a lot of talk today kind of circulating around my feed about just how challenging it is going to be for the Buffalo Bills to get out of that 10th spot that they're in right now and find themselves in a playoff position based on the fact that they have the third toughest schedule moving forward for the rest of the season. But we can discuss some of that as well and some of the things that we need to see happen. Who are we going to be rooting for here down the stretch if we want to see the Bills find a way, sneak away into the postseason? Although, of course, with every passing day, it feels a little bit more bleak for this season's Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, we're like right on the fringe of farting around here, the Buffalo Bills. Right? Like
we're outside of the farting around character.
It's like that graphic is going to look ugly. I'm going to look away from it. Like, honestly, do you want Houston or do you want Denver to win? I mean, I don't even know. Danger, I guess we got to play around with a simulator. I never thought the Denver Broncos would be a serious contender to knock the Buffalo Bills out of the postseason, but you almost need Denver to pick up losses here.
That's right.
Yeah, so I didn't think we'd be paying attention to a 1 o'clock Houston-Denver game, but yeah, here we are in the month of December. We have time for your calls as well, 866-4326, 866-4326. Also, a little later on, Danger, I want to just kind of tease. I've got a Yankee take here today, a little hot stove, if I may, here after we talked to our buddy Jim Riley yesterday. I've got some things that in my mind are coming into focus what the Yankees should do here.
Excellent. Gino mentioned the number, the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line. That's 866-4326, 866-4FAN. If you want to pull up a stool and join us here in the Sports Bar on the Fan Rochester and fire up your next holiday party with award-winning barbecue catered from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub. Good Smoke Barbecue's mouth-watering pulled pork, savory ribs, and tender brisket will create an authentic, slow-smoked barbecue fest for your guests. If for any event, Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub delivers the perfect blend of barbecue flavor and festivity. Visit goodsmokebarbecue.com, goodsmokebbq.com for the catering menu and order form. Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, modern barbecue experts at 135 West Commercial Street in East Rochester, and goodsmokebbq.com.
Odyssey has sports for everyone.
Hockey tonight for the Rochester Americans. They are in Belleville. It's the first of two. No official word if Devin Levi will start tonight in goal. Nicholas Savoy has been called up from Jacksonville. Don Stevens will be by at 7 o'clock with the call tonight here on the Fan Rochester. RIT men's hockey also home tonight. The Tigers going up against Robert Morris. Sabres coming off a loss to St. Louis. The team at Carolina tomorrow night. And then taking on Nashville at home 7 p.m. Sunday. Paul Hamilton is down in Carolina. He'll join us next hour here in the Sports Bar. It is championship weekend in college football. It begins tonight, actually. A doozy here we have. Pac-12 championship as number 5 Oregon taking on number 3 Washington. Sports is brought to you by GetMyPerks.com. Lots of deals there today, including Adventure Calls Outfitters. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, the Fan Rochester.
Top Shelf Sports Talk. You're hanging out in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Yeah, you mentioned championship week getting underway tonight. That Pac-12 championship, that's exciting. Oregon, Washington, curious as to which way you're leaning on that. And Gene, I don't know if this is too early to do it week 13 or not, but I have broken out the NFL playoff machine, and I'm kind of looking over scenarios for week 13 and beyond here, ways that the Buffalo Bills might find themselves clawing out of that 10 spot that they find themselves in right now.
You're going down a rabbit hole. More on that Oregon-Washington game tonight. So Oregon is 5th, Washington is 3rd. So Washington 3rd, you figure they should be in if they win, but the chaos would begin if Oregon. I would think Oregon should be in as well, that maybe somebody else would step their toe. This is a fun fact. The first time the Pac-12 has had a matchup of two top 5 teams since 1976. It's only the 5th time it's ever happened for the Pac-12, and all the other times have been USC against UCLA. So the poor Pac-12, I mean, going out with a bang here tonight on the national stage. It was only like last year, like, oh gosh, this is the worst of the Power 5, and well, it turns out this year, actually the worst by far was actually the ACC.
All right, so here's my question to you, Gino, because Texas plays tomorrow in the Big 12 championship against Oklahoma State. Can you list a list of teams in the Pac-12 that you think would beat Texas? I have a list. Teams that would beat Texas from the Pac-12.
That's my list.
Nobody.
You
don't think anybody's beating? I think the Pac-12. I think almost every team in the Pac-12. I think USC could beat Texas.
What?
I think Oregon State could beat Texas. I think Oregon and Washington could both beat Texas. Now, let's flip it. Can you name any Big 12 teams that would beat Oregon? You obviously would think Texas would be able to beat Oregon.
Big 12 team. Oh, Big 12. Yeah, Texas. Yeah, no,
It would be Texas, and that would be it, right? That would be it. That would be your only one.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's a single Big 12 team that would beat Oregon. I think Oregon's winning tonight. I think they win by 10. I like Penix, but I think that Washington team, although they beat Oregon earlier this year, I think a Washington team has kind of like been hanging on. Now, if Washington wins, they feel like this year's version of what we had last year with TCU, like scrappy, gutty winning games that you just don't think that they're going to be in. But I feel like Oregon's just going to be too much for them tonight in this game.
Well, this is, tonight is going to be fun. Tomorrow night, well, unless you're like Florida State, Louisville, I'm like, okay. No, the Big Ten championship, what a joke. And Wednesdays, we were joined by PJ Glasser, and we started chuckling about the numbers on this Michigan-Iowa game, Danger, where you had...
All right, tell me about it, because I love our conversation with PJ. I wasn't in there on Wednesday, so I didn't get to hear it.
Well, this is fantastic. So, Michigan, you want to talk about a narrow window, right? Because we've been the one show that's been following Iowa football all year long. Like, oh my gosh, how low is this over-under? It's 28. It went under again. They've been setting records because their offense is so futile. But now they're going up against a team that may win the national championship in Michigan. So Michigan in a championship game, Danger, favored by 22 points. The over-under this game is only 35. You want to talk about a narrow window, but it gets better because then PJ brings us like, no, Gene, this is my favorite play of the whole year. What do you think the first half point total or the second half point total, they're the exact same for Iowa, is? I'll tell you. It's a half point for Iowa. So in other words, you have to bet on Iowa not scoring any points in the first half or any points in the second half. That's where all the money is going on right now. It's going to be a horrible game tomorrow night.
Do you think Iowa's defense can do anything to slow down Michigan? Can they stop the? I mean, like, there is a part of me, and maybe I'm crazy, and there are certainly people that are more immersed in the Big Ten than I am. But there's something about Iowa that leads me to believe that they will keep it respectable from a defensive standpoint, and that they won't allow Michigan to just completely, like, let's face it, Michigan doesn't need to play for style. Like, Texas needs to play for style points against Oklahoma State. Texas needs to run it up. If they're going to beat Oklahoma State, it's got to be by a wide margin, and it's got to be impressive. Michigan just needs to win. I mean,
no. I disagree. I think Jim Harbaugh back on the sidelines wants to raise not one but two middle fingers to everyone in that conference and run the score up. I don't think like that, and PJ agreed with me on that one. I think that this is Michigan and the over, and I don't know if Iowa scores this game. Maybe I'll give them 3 points in this game. Maybe it's one of those games where we get to the end of the first quarter and it's scoreless, like, hey, what's going on here? But I just think that the storyline of Michigan, the us versus the world, and these still are kids after all for the most part. I'm not. To me, it's a game that normally I'd be sitting in and enjoying, and I don't think it's going to be much of a game at all. Danger.
Well, you've also got your RIT thing this week.
Well, that's true.
Are you wearing
no,
the orange pullover or the black pullover?
I'm wearing the
today,
black. You don't understand. When I'm calling RIT, the guy, and you know him very well, Danger.
Yeah,
you know him better
I do.
than I do. He is actually watching the game. So we are calling the game, and whatever college football game is on, particularly if it's Penn State, it's on too. So, I mean, it'll be on tomorrow night.
Real professional. What about that SEC championship game between Alabama and Georgia? I'm curious to relive what PJ was talking about earlier this week, because Alabama plus 5.5 is interesting to me. But what was PJ's takeaway on that?
Don't bet against Nick Saban in Atlanta. He's 6-0 all time. He knows how to get his team. So whereas maybe they don't win, he would take the Crimson Tide and the points here. And I love how Nick Saban's already politicking here, talking about how it would be a shame if the SEC got left out. You have to include the. I think quite honestly he's right here. If his team actually wins, well, what the heck do you do here if everybody else is undefeated here? I'm sorry. I would take Florida State wins, I would move them right down, and I would put Alabama in ahead of Florida State. I wouldn't penalize Alabama.
If they both won, you would put Alabama above Florida State, even if Florida State beats Louisville.
Yes.
Wow.
Wouldn't you?
Florida State undefeated?
All right, now let's, for the sake of this, let's just see what their wins are here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there is a case to be made. I don't know that the committee moves a one-loss Alabama team, a team that they lost to Texas, ahead of an undefeated Florida State team. And I guess Florida State has some style points to try and play with here again this weekend, but they're going to be doing it without their quarterback. This is going to be tough. And Louisville actually could win that game the way that they've been playing.
Okay, so, you got to go back. And I remember this now. It was Labor Day weekend, and Florida State, nice, comfortable win over LSU, 45-24. Hey, where's Brian Kelly? I thought LSU would have been.
Yeah. He's hanging out with his family is what he's doing. Maybe we're a little bit quick to expect success in college football.
It's a great night to be a Tiger. I'm here with my family.
By the way, our favorite coach last night, she was on the court there. LSU winning with Angel Reese back there, Danger.
Yeah, she's our favorite LSU coach, not Brian Kelly. We're Kim Mulkey people here. So yeah, you've got plenty of college football action, and of course we've got a lot of Week 13 action here in the NFL as well. It all got away last night with the Cowboys coming back and beating Seattle. It was one-sided, I think, as many people thought. You had that line at -9, I want to say, at kickoff, and the Cowboys did not cover, but they did get the win at home, and now they have a date against Philadelphia coming up here a week from Sunday before they have to come back and visit the Bills in Orchard Park.
Yeah, PJ also, would you agree with this? Take a guess. What does he think here? Cardinals and Steelers. Cardinals getting 6.5.
He probably likes the Cardinals side of that.
Yep, exactly. Like PJ, Steelers, they got it done last week, and now here's a little bit of tape. And Steelers have played ugly games all year long. So if you're getting 6.5,
I'm going to go against him on that one. I got the Steelers at -5.5, and I kind of like the Steelers at home against the Cardinals. I don't know if they've turned a corner, but if firing Matt Canada is exactly what they needed to do. But the offense it proved a little bit more explosive last week. So let's see if they can do it again here against a bad Arizona team, by the way.
Yeah, of all these games, which ones are you obviously the late afternoon game, that is going to be a delight. 49ers and Eagles on Sunday. The Browns potentially with Joe Flacco at quarterback getting 3.5 against the Rams. And interesting for Peter. Look, the Rams just kind of lose and just, make it kind of more obvious here at this point here. They're just kind of hanging around in the playoff scenario. I don't know how it's going to look. These games are the most interesting to me because I want to say it's not going to work. But Joe Flacco did have some okay games here in recent years here.
What was the thing, the quote that crossed my feed? Something that Amari Cooper said, like, watching Joe Flacco drop back to pass is like poetry in motion. What? We're talking about Joe Flacco, right?
I know.
Wow. Poetry in motion. That's not how I would describe Joe Flacco. But hey, the Browns are very much in it, man. They're very much still alive, and that's one that they're going to need, obviously. The Bucs are going to need to get a win if they want to try and claw their way back into an NFC playoff position. I tell you, one game that I would love to see go in favor for the Bills, but I just don't know. I'm not going to hold my breath that the Commanders are going to give the Dolphins any sort of a game in Washington.
No. 9.5. Dolphins are the Washington defense. I think we can say that's after they traded away their 2 defensive linemen. Just from a fantasy standpoint, you might have Achane back this week, which would be kind of helpful. I'm playing as much Miami Capital as I can in fantasy this week. Danger going against that Commander team.
The one that we're probably paying attention to more than anything, Gino, is that Texans-Broncos game in terms of what it means for the Bills and their playoff positioning, right?
Yeah, no doubt about it. And you've got the whole playoff scenario there. And the idea that the head-to-head, the Buffalo Bills would lose against the Denver Broncos, that's it's brutal here. Yeah, like that idea. I'm just looking up right now here. Give me a minute here, Danger. Seeing what we're going to get locally. Now, I know you're Mr. You've got your sources. You've got the ticket. You can watch the Red Zone. But some of us, we're still old-fashioned, in particular because I'm out in Buffalo. A lot of us, I wish they had like a half-season package or something like that. But just seeing here what we're going to get here on Sunday. Okay, so you want to take a guess what we're getting?
I was going to say Steelers Cardinals.
Okay. There are 2 games at 1 o'clock, and I'm not
Jets Falcons.
You're wrong on both.
Come on.
Fox is going to give us Miami,
Patriots.
Washington, and Channel 8 is going to give us Denver and Houston.
Oh, good. All right. That works.
Hey,
nice.
Thad, if that's you, thank you. Appreciate that.
That works out nice.
And then, of course, the 4 o'clock game is going to be the delight there, Niners and Eagles. Although, we can say it's a 3-team race, right? Like, Dallas's only losses have been to these 2 teams. I mean, I'd ask this question, Danger. If it's not this year for Dallas, then when is it going to be?
Well, I was particularly rough on Dallas early this season, right? I remember having a rant after the Cowboys started off hot, and then they laid a giant deuce in Arizona, right? And they lost to a really bad Cardinals team.
That one too,
and
right? Yeah.
The week before that, I was like, it's coming. It's coming. At some point, and Cowboy fans know it, at some point the letdown is coming. And for as good as Dak has looked, you're still holding your breath thinking something's going to go. There's a little bit there where you're like, I don't know. So when is it going to happen? And I'm going to say this, which is something I never thought I would say. Mike McCarthy has done a really, really good job with Dak Prescott this season.
He has. And I would caution anybody to think that Dallas is out of the woods. I think they're in for the playoffs, but are they going to come in with any sort of momentum? Okay, so the big game here coming up, and that's going to be the Sunday night game on the 10th. That's they're hosting Philadelphia. And from a fantasy standpoint, we talked about this with Andy Behrens yesterday. If the Eagles win this game, like, oh no, sure, they're going to play their starters, but they're really going to press Jalen Hurts and running the ball and everything. Like, it's really going to kind of throw a wrench in everything if you have or if you're invested in Philly. So Philadelphia at Buffalo, and thankfully that game did not get flexed. I think most Bills fans would say keep it on Sunday. Philadelphia at Buffalo at Miami, home against Detroit. Danger, that's a tough 4-game stretch here.
Yep. So, look, Cowboy fans, I mean, you maybe saw a little bit of it last night because I think a lot of people thought last night was going to be a little bit more one-sided than it actually was. But the letdown is coming. I don't know when, but when you're a Cowboy fan, I imagine that really all that matters is how you perform in the playoffs. How do you perform in the postseason? And until Dak is able to do that, I think you're going to continue to have questions, even though he's having himself a really, really nice season. Really nice season. And Mike McCarthy, I mean, you're seeing Dak do things that Kellen Moore could never get out of out of Dak Prescott. Mike McCarthy has figured it out. So you have to give credit where credit is due, and he's playing really good football. All right, so that's your Week 13 lineup in the NFL. It should be an interesting weekend here as the Bills are on bye, and then we return to see what the world looks like on Monday. And Monday Night Football to conclude Week 13 will be the Bengals in Jacksonville, which, look, I don't know that either of those teams are really going to be a problem for Buffalo in terms of their ability to try and get into the postseason. It looks like Jacksonville's going to lock up the South, and Cincinnati's going to continue to kind of circle the drain here without their franchise quarterback. So what does the world look like on Monday when we're talking about the Bills traveling to Arrowhead to help improve their lot in life here in the 2023 season? We'll look forward to that here coming up Monday afternoon here in the Sports Bar.
Yeah.
Next up, Gino, let's get to some takes on tap.
Yeah, I'm going to do the unthinkable. Defend a guy that you and others, big critics of here, Danger. But I think you might be changed here when we talk about the star in this decision here, as this has been a hot button topic here in sports radio. And I'm going to tell you what I think the Yankees are up to is actually very smart. And actually, I think this should put them back to where they should be. It is like a big-time contender in the American League.
I don't know if we discussed enough about, there was a play that wasn't a play during the game on Sunday that might have unlocked a way to not stop, but maybe at least make the Philadelphia Eagles think twice about the brotherly shove. We'll talk about that Jordan Phillips offsides call coming up, and I'll drink to that. I have a non-sports take as well next Tuesday. Very exciting day for me. 20-year-old me is very excited to see what's coming out next Tuesday, and I'll explain what that is as well. Here in the Sports Bar, Danger and Battaglia on the Fan Rochester. Now, as the weather gets colder, the NFL offers stay hot on FanDuel. You just heard us talk a lot of NFL. Check out FanDuel Sportsbook, the official partner of 95.7 The Fan with me, Mike Danger. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. Take any of those games we were just talking about. Which one do you like to win straight up? Make that pick on the money line. A $5 money line bet could get you $150 in bonus bets, $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is super easy to use, and there's a wide range of betting options, everything from spreads to player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/Mike, M-I-K-E, to kick off the NFL season with me on FanDuel. FanDuel.com/Mike. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. 21 plus and physically present in New York. First online real money wager only. $5 pregame money line wager required. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
Through the snow to see that.
Lost last night in St. Louis. Look ahead to the rest of their schedule here coming up this weekend. Of course, we got some Amerks hockey happening this weekend as well.
Yeah, I want to talk to Paul about Devin Levi. Get his thoughts of how long should this really be here? Is it a couple games? Show us what you're made of, and then a long term. You can't have 3 goalies up in Buffalo. We can't be doing this forever. Correct?
I would think not, but we'll talk to Paul, and he's got his finger on the pulse of what's going on with the team. Always love his insight and getting caught up with Paul. He'll be joining us here coming up at 4:25. First, some takes on tap in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Yeah, I don't see. I don't see anything. Any report that would connect Shohei Ohtani to the Yankees. We were joined yesterday by Jim Riley, and he's reporting, confirming reports that it's down to 3 teams. It's down to the Cubs, the Dodgers, and the Blue Jays, which is fascinating that the Blue Jays might be the ones that come up with Shohei Ohtani. It makes a lot of sense, from a lot of different levels. But in terms of the Yankees, if you're a Yankee fan, they're thinking, my gosh, it will look great having Ohtani in the lineup, and you're disappointed. I understand that you're disappointed, but look, you're going to be just fine. The star of this team right now, you didn't need Ohtani from that standpoint. You have Aaron Judge. He's the face of the franchise. He's the guy you're paying. Look, don't be upset. They can still win the offseason here. The Yankees can. Step 1 is this, and we talked a little bit about this. Sign Yoshinobu Yamamoto. You would have a real 1-2 punch in that rotation since, I don't know, the fact that you have Garrett Cole, reigning AL Cy Young Award winner, and then this guy coming over, and I would keep Nestor Cortez. And if you can get anything out of Carlos Rodon as a 4, and he was really good for a few years, and last year wasn't right from the get-go, well, then, you know what? You go out and get a Juan Soto on top of it. And I don't think it's going to cost you all that much, Danger, to go get a Juan Soto. Michael King, a couple prospects, nothing, too extravagant, some spare parts. The Padres are beggars, not choosers at this point. And I would bet then you would put the lineup like this. I would still bet Aaron Judge second, Juan Soto third. Judge would see a heck of a lot more fastballs batting in front of Juan Soto.
Yeah. It's interesting, and I know there are probably some Yankee fans that are just so frustrated with the lack of any kind of like ultimate success for this team. But you didn't move on from your GM, you didn't move on from your manager, and you're going to make these moves, and we'll have some hope. But will we still be disappointed come next October if you're a Yankees fan, even if you make all of these moves? At minimum, it's exciting, and it'll get us talking about what the Yankees are doing. It would make a lot of sense. Everything you're saying makes a lot of sense, but it is still something where I just have a feeling that by the time we get to the middle of next summer, it's a lot of angry Yankee fans saying, I can't believe it. The same thing. It's the same. And you just kind of continue to get the same results, even though you've rearranged things. Now, these are some talented players here, man, for sure.
Well, do we expect Tampa to do what they did again? I don't know, or Baltimore for that matter. And what is really Boston up to? All I'm saying here is you just have to find a way to get invited to the party, which the Yankees weren't anywhere close to getting to the postseason last year. And if you make these moves, and let's say the Jays don't do anything big, like they don't end up with Ohtani, yeah, you if we're doing like odds here and betting, I think the Yankees odds would look pretty well attractive.
Did we discuss at all the play from Sunday in Philadelphia, the offside call that Jordan Phillips kind of jumped offsides?
Yes, from this standpoint. And the standpoint is this, because it was Jason Kelsey on the podcast.
Yeah.
Well, my take is this. There's a D word. It's called deflection, okay? And Kelsey knows this too. Like not one but 2 false start penalties. And sure, you want to point that out, but dude, maybe here's another idea. Don't flinch. Don't put your teammates in that position here. So, from that standpoint, because Jordan Phillips jumping off sides, did he give a little bit of the extra business? Sure. I think what's unusual about this, Danger, is that normally in a league that it's a fraternity, and guys, regardless of what team you're on, generally speaking, when it comes to fines and, you versus the man, quote unquote, you're not doing this. I don't recall an instance where one player is suggesting another player be fined here.
Yeah. Look, I mean, it was, I agree with you. And I think that Kelsey being as vocal about it as he was, it's partially deflection, but I think also the other part of it is hey, you got to him a little bit. He's a little rattled by that because, listen, no one's going to encourage a dirty play. No one wants an injury. But let's say that play happened in a goal line situation when you'd only be giving up a fraction of a yard if you're offsides. Why not try to steal some of that advantage back from the offense that they have on that play? They know when the ball is snapped. You don't. Have the entire D-line, not just the D tackle, have the entire D-line make that push just a fraction before the ball is snapped. Start a little early, and at just a minimum, give the offense just a little taste of their own medicine on a play that just gives the offense such a clear advantage. It's a way for the defense to kind of get a little bit of that advantage back.
I love that. Like next time, and maybe Dallas should employ this coming up in the next Philadelphia, or maybe the Niners, their next game. So if it's first and goal from the half-yard line, what's the penalty here? Ooh, it's going to be a half an inch. Ooh,
right.
Honestly, put it in their head. Hey, knucklehead, we're going to knock you on your butt. I love that.
You think that you're gonna just squash us and pound us into the ground, and we're not gonna be able to stop you. Well, let us get our licks in here before you attempt that, and maybe it forces them to change their play call, or maybe. The thing that I don't want to see happen is I don't want to see somebody get injured and then they have to go and review, like, okay, do we make this play illegal again? What do we do? Nobody wants to see any of that, but I didn't hate what Jordan Phillips did on that play. It was just enough of a shot to let him know, yeah, okay, you guys, we're here to be physical too. And, to Kelsey protesting about it just kind of confirms that was a move that really got to the Eagles. They're entitled with that play. They believe that play is unstoppable. And it might be unstoppable, but it doesn't mean that you can't get in their head a little bit. And I think Phillips did a great job of that on Sunday.
Okay, so let's play this out, because could we see a rematch of the NFC Championship game? Absolutely. If I'm San Francisco, what you're saying, I'm taking as gospel. Do it this week. Mm-hmm. You may lose this game, but I want to put in your head, that the next time around when it comes to the brotherly shove there, it's not an automatic.
That's right.
Danger, if I can defend a guy that you are a very big critic of, I don't
know that I'm a critic. I mean, you're going to talk about LeBron here, and I don't know, Gene, if calling me a critic of him is fair. I just want us all to appreciate LeBron, because I don't know that if you know this or not, but he's still playing basketball, and he's still playing at a very high level. But I don't know that we appreciate it enough. And one day he's not gonna play anymore. When he stops playing, what are we gonna do then? How's life gonna go on if LeBron isn't in the NBA? I don't know.
We don't appreciate. You're either the greatest or worse, the second best player of all time.
He is the second best player of all time, but his complaint is we don't appreciate him enough. Okay. So we have to appreciate LeBron. Yes, I'm not a critic, but we are appreciating LeBron.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so may I appreciate and defend him? He's making it be known. He's going to be taking a personal day here, essentially. He's going to take a day off in the Lakers to go watch his son Bronny make his USC debut. And considering what went on with Bronny, they had a heart attack. Look, if the games are on the same day, do it. What is wrong with this? Why are people upset? LeBron is 39. Load management is a real thing for the NBA, especially for a 39-year-old. Like, it's a meaningless regular season game. And if he wants to go support his son, and again, as fathers, this is what we should want to do. This is a man being a dad. Now, for a playoff game, I would still be okay with it, but it's not a playoff game. So, again, why are we upset about a rather meaningless regular season game? Where is this outrage coming from?
I'm not sure where the outrage is coming from, Gino. I mean, maybe you're seeing it and I'm not, but I mean, it all makes sense to me.
The buy or sell, the segment that Bill Ryder did today. Are you – come on, guys. Like, really?
Look, I think that LeBron gets to call his own shots. LeBron is running things the way he wants to run them. In this instance specifically, in a league where load management guys take days off all the time and you never really know until game day, and then you find out and you're like, oh, okay. Oh, Luka's not playing today. Oh, Joel Embiid's taking the day off in New Orleans. Oh, that's great. Look, he's doing it for the most noble of reasons. He's going to be a dad when his son needs him most. I have zero issue with LeBron doing that. And you know, if you take offense to that, then maybe there's something in your life that you don't you don't have that perspective. I think having a kid gives you a different perspective. I don't know if the writer has kids or not, but I think younger fans might hear that or see that and be like, LeBron, what are you doing, man? Get out there and play. No, this is one that he should take the night off. He should support his son. That feels like an easy thing, an easy decision to make.
Yeah, Danger, before you get to your take, I had a non-take, if I may. This was
yes.
this was non-sport take. This was from Wednesday, because on Tuesday I was doing the dad thing, and that was the day that you could not. You were down and out. So, I got to school in time at 6:00. Okay, so I was talking about where my son was honored, the National Technical Honor Society, which for kids are for WMOCO and everything else. And they do the ceremony, and schools do this. If there's one word that you could just shoot into the sun, and you hear this sometimes in ads, I'm like, no, don't do that, please. Copywriters, ignore this word. Like, they get up at the end, thank you very much for coming tonight, and please stick around in the back. We have some refreshments. Refreshments. Like, don't like that word. Just say we have coffee and cookies, refreshments, and like, don't use refreshments in your radio ad either. Like, hey,
what do you classify as a refreshment?
It's normally like a punch bowl and coffee with a styrofoam cup.
But now, if it was a summertime get together and they said we have refreshments, and I went and I saw lemonade, I'd be like, accurate. You do have refreshments. Lemonade is here. That is refreshing, and that is a refreshment. What else qualifies? Like cookies, coffee, not refreshments. I'm not getting refreshed from cookies and coffee.
See, right? The word is meaningless. It's not accurate.
Snacks.
Yeah. That's what we should just kind of say what it is.
Stick around for snacks.
Yeah. But like the next time you hear a radio ad that says, hey, come to our seminar where we're going to, tell you about timeshares and there's going to be refreshments. Yeah, you know what? I wasn't thinking about coming to that timeshare, but by golly, there's refreshments. Woo!
Here's a granola bar and a pitcher of water. Enjoy. Next week, Tuesday to be exact, Gino, I'm going to be paying attention to my feed and anticipation for a new trailer. Now, it's not a trailer to a movie. It's not a trailer to a show. It's not a trailer to a new album release. There's a trailer to a video game. I can't wait to see what Rockstar is cooking with Grand Theft Auto 6. I don't know what it's going to look like, Gene, but here's what I know. We're old. Like, I shouldn't still be getting excited about video game releases, should I? But it's the GTA franchise, and like Madden, it's just part of our generation at this point. Please tell me I'm right on this one, because a new GTA game feels special, and I haven't played in a while, but if the rest of my mall walking friends can relate, please let me know, because I'm excited, maybe a little bit over the top. Some GTA, followed by maybe a glass of Metamucil and sitting next to Gino there on the porch, working down a Werther's Original. That's where I'm at, Gene. What happened to me? I used to have potential. I used to drink Mountain Dew and other substances when I played. Now I've graduated to boxed wine. Somebody just end it for me.
Yeah, I'm so old. I played one of the first versions of Grand Theft Auto. So this is pre-executive producer. This is me as a bachelor living with my buddy Ed. We called him all Ed Lover, which was always good because I would call him Ed Lover and people would get the wrong idea. Like, no. We're just, but he had one of the first versions, and I'm like, wow, you could have a video game like this? This is awesome. And we'd be playing it all. I got to ask him if he's got one of those first, that version. I mean, I'm talking like this is 1998. That's how far back that this video game goes.
Yeah. GTA 3 was one that I remember playing on the PS2 for hours and hours and hours, and then you move on to other versions of the game, of Vice City and San Andreas. I mean, every game that they've released in the franchise has been a massive, massive hit. I mean, you look at how much money Grand Theft Auto 5 has raked in, and there's no wonder why they would want to come out with a sequel. GTA 6, looks like it's going to be set in Miami. Maybe it's very similar to what they did with Vice City, but I shouldn't be this excited for a trailer for a video game. I'm almost 50 years old, and here I am talking about how excited I am to see what Grand Theft Auto 6 actually looks like come Tuesday. I don't know.
It's okay. We get excited about. I'm excited about something next Saturday. What is important about next Saturday in terms of the history of the sports bar, Mike Danger?
Next Saturday would be what is it? The 9th?
That's correct.
Okay, well that right there makes it a special day. In the
It's
sports
like we've
bar.
done this like the last 3 years. It's
9 times.
It's Benny Mardones days till Christmas. It's Benny Mardones day, but we're not going to be doing the show on Saturday, so I think we should kind of do it because Christmas Eve, I think Benny Mardones day should be, well, we're out at Three Heads next week.
When we're 16 days away from Christmas, is that what the day is? Oh my God. What is wrong with us? All right, we got to take a break and come back. Paul Hamilton's going to join us in a few. We have the latest on the Von Miller situation, and it looks like a reversal of course from Von Miller's from the alleged victim. We'll get into that and more next. It's a little bit of a dicey and sloppy situation. And if you want to join us, feel free. Call us on the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line. That's 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326. More on the way in the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia, the Fan, Rochester.
Dashing through the snow.
39BF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The Fan, Rochester. Sports update.
Interesting game tonight for the Rochester Americans. Could see Devin Levi making his Americans debut as the team up in Belleville. We'll have the call and Don Stevens beginning at 7 o'clock. Nicholas Savoy recalled today from Jacksonville. We'll talk some hockey later this hour. Paul Hamilton from WGR will join us here in the Sports Bar. RIT hockey tonight. They're home tonight and tomorrow night. The Tigers going up against Robert Morris. The Sabres coming off that loss to St. Louis last night. The team in Carolina tomorrow night. It's championship weekend in college football. It begins tonight. The Pac-12 championship has Oregon and Washington. Sports is brought to you by GetMyPerks.com. Lots of deals there today, including some whitewater rafting at Adventure Calls Outfitters. For this and other great deals, log on to GetMyPerks.com today. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
The beer is cold and the wings are hot. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Welcome back into the Sports Bar. Danger and Battaglia. Glad you're kicking off your sports weekend with us here on the Fan, Rochester. Mike Danger broadcasting from the tank. Gene Battaglia back at our studios at High Falls. Paul Hamilton stopping by the Sports Bar here in about 15 minutes. We'll talk some Sabres and Amherst hockey as well.
Danger, forgive me. I'm going to hand the baton over to Tim. I have to step aside for 1 second here. So I apologize here. I'm going to step aside off camera. I'll let you know when I come back here, buddy. I apologize.
All right. Tim back at the studios, manning the ship right now, and we've got a round of appetizers coming up here later on as well. We'll discuss some of the other news and notes from around the NFL and the latest really here on the Bills and edge rusher Von Miller, who yesterday turned himself into Glen Heights Police just outside of Dallas, was taken to the DeSoto Regional Jail where he posted $5,000 bond and was released. Miller had an arrest warrant issued by the Dallas Police Department on allegations of domestic violence. You will have a little bit more on that here in a second. Miller was also once investigated back in 2021, you might remember, by police just outside of Denver in Parker, Colorado. No charges in 2021 were filed, and maybe no charges filed here as well, because the alleged victim in the felony assault case against Miller has apparently recanted her contentions. Yesterday, we talked about the affidavit. It's graphic, lengthy, shared all the alleged events of the domestic dispute. And then 2 days later here, you've got Miller's longtime girlfriend claiming that nothing actually happened. So whether or not that causes this entire incident to go away remains to be seen. But for right now, you have a report from a local TV station in Dallas saying that the alleged victim has gone against her contentions and that this isn't actually domestic abuse. Now, one of the telltale signs of a domestic abuse situation is the denial that this is domestic abuse. So we'll kind of let the process play out here and keep you posted as we hear more from the Bills, from the NFL, maybe even from Von Miller as well here in the coming days and weeks as this situation continues to unfold.
Yeah, sorry about that, Danger. I apologize for stepping aside there. I'm back.
Now, you got to understand, Gino, when you say I'm stepping aside, my mind reels. It wanders. I don't know what's going on because I don't have visual confirmation of you. We are like, I don't know. You could be on the other side of the board. You could be assaulting Tim Lamoy, who's good with his time to keep us. You could be over there, pushing him into a locker. It could be in a headbutt. I don't know what you got going on there in the sports bar. Things get rowdy from time to time.
Yeah. And I think how long have we been doing the show? I've lost track.
Over 7 years.
7 years. Yeah, I think that's the first time I've had to actually do that. So
you had to dip. Is everything okay?
Everything is going to be okay.
Everything is going to be okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, Gino, if you need to excuse yourself, you just let me know, and we'll get through this. We'll power through this afternoon in the sports bar, and we'll have our buddy Paul Hamilton here in about 10, 15 minutes to talk some Sabres and Amherst as well. What are you interested in learning about when we talk to Paul here coming up in a few, Gino?
Yeah, I want to get his thoughts here on Levi. That's one, that's question number one, obviously. Like, how long is this? Is this just simply, hey, UPL? But if UPL puts up another stinker, are you bringing back, are you bringing him back here shortly? The second thing being here, it's kind of a I guess a fun story. Like Benson last night, and you watch him on the ice, Danger, and I like watching him away from the puck. The kid makes plays. I would assume Kevin Adams would, tell Hockey Canada in the most polite way, no. We're not going to be, we're not going to be loaning you for the juniors here.
Right. I'm curious about just last night's performance and about this team. And I know that the Sabres are the youngest team in the NHL and that there's still, some maturing that needs to happen. But when you see other young players in the NHL play at a more mature level than you sometimes see out of the Buffalo Sabres, it makes me wonder, like, how long do we have to wait to start to see a little bit more of a mature play from guys that, frankly, I think we deserve to see a little bit more. We need to see more of 2022 Dylan Cousins than we've seen so far this year. Casey Middlestead just snake bit last night. I mean, there's so many opportunities, just can't get the puck in the net. And then what about UPL? Will we see more consistent play out of him here down the stretch, knowing that Devin Levi is here in Rochester for a period of time? A lot of things to kind of dive into and dig into here with the Sabres and with the Amherst when we're joined later by Paul Hamilton here in the Sports Bar.
Well, if we can do this, Danger, if we can kind of take a break here and kind of reset. Our phone number is 866-4FAN, 866-4326. Paul Hamilton, WGR, will be joining us. Danger's in the Cave. And, as we just, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back here.
You got it, absolutely. While we're waiting, also, by the way, the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line, that number Gino just mentioned, 866-4326. Best barbecue in town, that's easy. It's Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub in East Rochester. Award-winning barbecue for lunch, dinner, and the perfect choice to cater your next holiday party. Visit Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub. Visit goodsmokebbq.com for the catering menu and order form, and then check out their daily and weekly specials online or Facebook, like the Super Slider Lunch Combo Deal for only $9.99. Amazing food, amazing price, and great beer selection. Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub. Modern barbecue experts at 135 West Commercial Street, East Rochester. GoodSmokebbq.com.
Hey, everybody, I'm Chris Brown.
And I'm Steve Task.